Well, g'day there traders. Thanks a lot for joining me on this Monday afternoon market recap. What I'd like to do in this particular video is really reference some individual stocks which are giving us some pretty decent early reversal warnings, or at least slowdowns, really referencing Apple right here. We've got other stocks which are continuing to consolidate, and also stocks which are starting to break down and also triggering into the next crop of new trades from that pro analysis class. First of all, I'd like to reference Apple today. Apple today really gave us a perfect textbook shooting star candlestick. It does have a little bit of a lower wick. That's okay, but the basic formation of this candle is very, very interesting. Generally what happens is when a stock breaks out and starts to trend, it'll exhaust itself short term. It needs time to consolidate, to rest, wait for those exponential moving averages to catch back up to price before it can continue in the bullish trend. Today, Apple rised as high as $117.28. It failed to hold that upper level. It looked very, very nice during the day, but the sellers in this particular stock came back. They sold the price down. It closed 19 cents down below the open, leaving us with this very, very interesting candlestick. This is the first sentiment shift we can see, or at least analyze as a technical trader as we work with the daily price action. So leading into the trading week, we had a technical stop around $112.93, or corresponding with a few students. That was really the level which I was paying attention to. At the moment, if you are in this stock from our bullish trade at $110.78, this is the first candlestick saying, look, be careful. Potentially things are starting to slow, maybe consolidate, if not see a quick retracement or a pullback in the price of Apple until it continues in the direction, of course, in the bullish movement. At the moment, what I'd consider doing is bringing a stop up to $112.93. You might want to take out maybe 2/3 of your positions or those call contracts, and maybe let 1/3 of the remaining call options, just let it run for a little bit and see what happens in the price of Apple. If we do get back up to these levels, I'd consider closing out more or less the entire trade and looking for, of course, new entry into another stock. So that's a bit of an update on Apple. Very nice shooting star candlestick. It's almost a high wave spinning top, but because of the upper wick, it really denotes, or it really sort of espouses the selling pressure coming into Apple short term, waiting for a consolidation, a small retest of those exponential moving averages before we can look for the next bullish entry and, of course, trade trigger. That is a very interesting stock. Another interesting stock which is starting as I bring down my mouse is Facebook. Facebook today, again, another inside day, very close to that bullish trade trigger, about 75.97, also 71.82 on the bearish side. Very, very neutral on Facebook based off, of course, this primary trend, which has been in effect since mid 2013. It doesn't matter whether this trend continues to move higher or if in fact the bearish or the sellers can break through this primary bullish trend. We're poised very, very nicely to see what Facebook does as it continues throughout the week. Google today breaking down below that bearish entry. 548.56 was the contingent order on this particular stock as referenced over the class in pro. Pretty decent trade, pardon me, at the moment, down $8.55. It closed a little bit off the lows, but you can see the selling volume come back into Google as the daily candle suggests. You can see also we're getting a quick retracement or a sell-off from the 50 exponential moving average. We've come back up. We've retested this old support as new resistance. It looks as if Google is starting to roll over. First target on this particular stock is $539.16. Second target is really $530. So we still have a pretty decent way to move. Almost $16 or over $16 to the downside if Google really sells off this week. Very, very interested to see how this particular stock moves throughout this week. Also, another interesting play at the moment is HAL. A lot of volatility. A lot of students actually emailing me saying what the cause is for this recent volatility. Something about a BHI merger or acquisition, something along those lines. But as a technical trader, you need to understand that everything known about the company or a particular company is already factored into the price as a technical analyst. Everything known about a company is already factored into the current market price. That leaves us with only the technical chart to analyze. It's very important that you understand this. If you are going to trade technically, you need to trade what makes sense technically. If I'm looking at this on a technical type of picture, as I do with all stocks, you can see that it makes sense in the event of what it's doing. It's obviously moving into some form of a bearish trend. It looked as if we were seeing a breakout last Thursday. Again, an inside day on Friday. Today we had a gap down 10%, down about $6 on the equity value. This could be a pretty decent breakaway gap, or at least, ladies and gentlemen, a continuation gap. Generally, continuation gaps occur halfway during a trending move. So they like to poke their head or pronounce themselves during or halfway through a bullish or bearish trend. If that is the case, you can start to measure the sell-off from about this level at about $66 to where it has gone in the past, which is $50. That is a $16 move. You can then do some rough estimates, $16 lower from more or less the basing pattern, which is taking place around $50. So you're really looking at ultimately a $34 target on this particular stock if it continues in the bearish trend. That will bring us down to, if I can bring up my closing price on the chart, I'll have a look at roughly where $34 is just to see where this measured move. And you can see right here, around $35, going back to April 2010, we have a resistance level, a second resistance level in October 2010. You can see it acted as support during September and November 2011. You can see it hit it again as resistance in February and April 2012, again in July and October 2012. And since then, we haven't really looked back as we have at least constructed the most recent bullish trend. It looks as if HAL short term is, or at least intermediately, is at least coming down to lower levels. The key that I am looking at as a technical trader is around this level, pardon me, at $47.60. That is really the opportunity or the entry which I am looking at. I still need some additional confirmation. Yes, we have a gap. Yes, we have increasing bearish volume. Look at that, 80 million shares traded today on HAL. Insane volume spike compared to the average daily volume. That is over 3 times the daily volume. That is what we want to see generally at an ultimate low, or at least a continuation or continuation gap based off the most recent chart pattern taking place on HAL as at Monday the 17th of November 2014. So please pay attention to this particular stock. The argument for a Bollinger Band squeeze has sort of broken down. The reason why is because we had more or less a false breakout to the upside based, I guess, on those fundamental news or those stories coming out. Perhaps the merger or the acquisition has failed, it's stalled, something like that. It's obviously negative news which is coming out affecting HAL, and it looks to be breaking lower. I want to give a trade below the daily candle, but you need to understand that we do have a support level roughly at $48 a share. It doesn't make the trade worthy of your money based on the risk and reward. We really need to see that 47.60 area breakdown. And you can see these targets down here, 45, 47, and also $40. Ultimately, as low as about $35 on the downside. They are really the targets which I am looking for on HAL if we start to see some very nice closes below this $47.60 entry. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the gem for this week is Netflix. It continues to squeeze. Look at this. I haven't seen Netflix squeeze like this, or to see a Bollinger Band on such a high price stock in a couple of years. Now, this was the stock which I was alluding to in that special over the weekend. I've given the entries, I've given the targets, I've more or less given too much information publicly to people. That's okay, I will do that from time to time. But you can see the basic trade setup above 396.50 up to 417. Below 471.90 down to 331. You can see roughly that's $20 of intrinsic value in call options to the upside between the target and of course the entry. On the downside, it's a little over $40 or very close to $40 on the downside price action if we hit $331 on this particular stock. Please pay attention to this Netflix trade. Do not go overboard on it. Don't place too much of your account equity on this particular trade. With trading, of course, there is always risk. Make sure that you're really only allowing 5 to 10% of your complete or total capital account invested in any position on any given stock. I hope that makes sense. Don't go out and over invest in this particular trade. That is silly. You will get caught out eventually, but in the way of a high probability trade setup, this is definitely the stock which I am watching this week. Google again has technically triggered at 548.56. I am personally in this stock bearish, which is really good. It's only a couple of dollars in the money at the moment, about $2 of intrinsic value at the moment. Pretty decent trade setup. I'm really liking that Google trade. Twitter, again, it seems to be basing. It's moving into sort of a wedge right here. There's no real good trade setup other than the trades which I've already listed over the weekend. Tesla should have been out on Friday. We've got that candlestick which we were wanting. Also, as I look at Tesla, that really jogs my memory on the Amazon trade. I wanted to see at least an inside day or a couple of inside days before I start to make this 333.70 trade trigger, or at least put it into my trading account. You can see, ladies and gentlemen, that we're starting to build the upper structure on the daily time frame for us to at least leg into additional core positions once we break above those upper structures, which are starting to present themselves on Amazon. BIDU today, nice lower wick, continuing in that stair-step pattern. You can see how it's very, very disciplined in the sideways market move. I'm still liking that bullish trade trigger on BIDU. Caterpillar today, it hasn't essentially rolled over yet, but it's getting very, very close to doing so. We're at the 100 and the 200. If we fail the exponential moving average, is very similar to the Google trade setup based on this very important macro pivot point right here, around that psychological round number, around $100 a share. Let me just have a look at some additional stocks just to update you. Disney again climbing high. We've got another doji candlestick or a spinning top candlestick on Monday's trading session. We have technically filled the gap. The gap is done. The resistance is over. Very bidirectional trade set up on this particular stock. FAS today had pretty much a bullish counter attack. We did gap down, we traded up, and we didn't pierce Friday's closing candle, but we definitely came up and traded against the close of Friday. You can see we're only up 10%. However, we did gap down. The candlestick is white because, of course, the close was above the open. Interesting candlestick. We still haven't broken out above this bull flag taking place on FAS, if of course it is going to trigger. At the moment, I'm going to keep my trigger as it is. I need some additional confirmation, especially with the markets looking very, again, I guess waning, or the momentum to the upside is definitely slowing on the overall markets. We are moving into a little bit of a slowdown based on what the markets are doing and where they are trading at. So please don't get overly aggressive in that. FAS traded, of course, is going to follow the financials. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is a Monday afternoon market recap. I think I've covered most of these particular stocks. Ones I haven't is Starbucks. Starbucks continues to sort of plateau. Bring up your stock. It hasn't been a blockbuster trade whatsoever. It's at break even at the moment. You get some of those trades as a swing trader. That's all well and good. It's definitely not a losing trade, or if it is very, very marginal to a couple of cents. So just lock up the stock. Ensure or at least limit risk on any trades which you are not comfortable in being on, or at least are not rewarding you straight away from that open or entry price. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very, very excited about some additional or some stocks which I've just gone over in this Monday afternoon market recap. What I'd like to say also is thank you for your general support on that announcement I made in that pro analysis class. I've seen a lot of emails. I'd say the majority, or easily the majority of the pro analysis class, I'd say 80% of people have personally emailed me, and I want to thank you all, if you're watching this video, for your general support, for my reason in doing what I'm doing, leaving this Saturday. So thank you so much. I'll keep you updated as much as I can along the route. I'll be uploading GoPro footage. I'll be posting photos also in that pro analysis class, so you can see where I am in Australia, what I have done, and of course some of the obstacles and hurdles, and just a general I guess video diary and photo journey of my travel and of my upcoming adventure taking place. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, traders right around the world. I appreciate your support. I hope this analysis has helped you. Depending on what trades you are in, another great week or another great day to start the trading week. That Google trade looks fantastic, and that Netflix trade, boy, I am excited for that particular trade. All the best, ladies and gentlemen. Email me if you have any questions. Schedule a call. Other than that, I'll call it a day as at Monday afternoon. Have a fantastic evening. I'll see you all tomorrow for another market update. All the best. Goodbye.